Hello, on this video I will demonstrate you how you can perform the migration process from the old software to the new one. Here we have the kiosk that is running on the old software. To be able to perform the migration process, you will be required to have two flash drives that is being provided to you, and keyboard and mouse, and probably you will need some USB hub or USB extension. It is not required, but it always best to have it, so all the process goes easier and you don't have to switch always the USB ports. As a first step, let's connect the keyboard and the flash drive to the kiosk computer. Use the smallest size flash drive that is being provided. Okay. Connect it to the free port. Alright. Now, when it is connected, power down the computer. Power back up, and when you will be powering back up, you have to have the keyboard in your hands. Okay, when you see that the computer has started powering up, press F8 or F12 to enter boot menu. For example, here I know that this motherboard uses F12, but the majority of other kiosks actually use F8. So which key you have to press, it depends on the motherboard used inside the kiosk. Okay, here we have the boot menu. Here you have to select the flash drive that you have inserted. In my case, this is Lexar USB flash drive. Do not select this option. UEFI is not gonna work probably. Lexar USB flash drive is what we are looking for. Okay, here the next menu. Here, this is the menu of the flash drive. Please select the second option from the top, Mini Windows XP. I press enter and wait for Windows XP to load up. We use this flash drive to prepare the hard drive for applying the kiosk image. The kiosk itself goes with Linux partitions, so on the next step, if we try to apply the image to the Linux partition, it will not allow us to do that. So that's why we need this step. Now I take the mouse and go to Start, Programs, Disk Management. In the Disk Management tool, you will see the disks that is present in the computer. At the bottom half of the screen, the most bottom will appear your flash drive. Don't touch it. And at the top, you will see the hard drive that is installed inside of the computer. This hard drive will have several partitions present. In this example, the partitions is Windows partitions, but in the kiosk you will see the partitions appearing as Linux ext4 partitions. So to erase the partitions, you click to the partition, right click, delete partition, yes. Then click another partition, right click, delete partition, yes. And the last partition, right click, delete, yes. Alright, when you see that the entire disk is shown as unallocated, we are ready to proceed with the next step. Okay, for the next step, let's remove the flash drive that we just used and insert the second flash drive. This is the 64 GB flash drive that contains Acronis bootable image and the images of the kiosks. After I inserted it, I powered down the terminal and power it back on. And once again, when you see that the terminal started powering up, press the key to enter to the boot menu. here I'm pressing F12. Here we will select Lexar USB flash drive and I press enter. Here we have to select the first option. That option goes selected by default, so I just press enter and we proceed with the loading of the Acronis True Image. Acronis True Image is the cloning software that we use to clone the images of the kiosks. This bootable flash drive goes already with the preloaded images for several different types of motherboards. Okay, to apply the image of a kiosk to this terminal, select Recover, My Disks. Here we select Browse, Removable Drive C, and here you will see several images that is located in the root of that flash drive. Each image actually consists of 2 files, and here you have to select the first file. The file names contain the motherboard to which you have to apply those images. For example, here I know that this computer motherboard is Gigabyte and with the particular model name. So if you have any other motherboard installed in the kiosk, please select the other one. Okay, here I click OK. Then I click Next. Here we leave the option by default, recover whole disks and partitions. The next screen, I select everything. We have to recover all those partitions. I press Next. And here we have to select disk 2. On this screen appears all the disks that is currently present in the system. The first disk is the flash drive and the second disk is the disk that is installed inside of the kiosk. So on this screen, for example, if you see that disk 2 is grayed out, that means you didn't do that first step. You didn't boot with Windows XP and didn't erase the Linux partitions that was present there. In that case, this disk will appear gray. So here we select the second disk and press Next. After that, we have to confirm that we want to erase everything. Okay. Here we select Copy Partitions without changes, the first option. Press Next. And we press Proceed. So the process of cloning begins. And this process can take actually from 8 to 15 minutes. And the speed greatly depends on the drive that is being used and the computer hardware inside of the kiosk. So here I pause the video and resume when we will be closer to the finish. Okay, the process is finishing up. And we are done. When you see this, the cloning process is finished and we are ready to reboot the machine. So now I will extract the flash drive and then power it off and power it on again for it to boot from the hard drive. Okay, here goes the flash drive. Power down and power up. The first start that you will see can appear differently. For example, now we saw Windows 10 icon and waiting dots that was rotating, but in other cases you may see the message saying getting ready the hardware, and well, the process go differently depending on how the device is actually connected. Okay, this terminal has different cable connections than the others. So we see that the software actually popped up on the second screen, and the first screen is being detected as the second screen. That can be easily fixed. Let me show how it is done. But first we have to wait for the software to fully load, and after that we can proceed with the fix-ups. Okay, now you see the second screen and the software appears there, and the first screen is empty. So let's fix it. For that, I'll take the mouse and I press with the mouse here. This is actually a button that can be pressed. I press multiple times, and when I do so, the login screen is prompted. So let me press the default code. Let me enter the default code, that is 10 zeros. Press next, and I press exit application, this option. Okay, this is actually the second screen advertisement application. Let me exit from it. I can exit using the keyboard. I click to the application itself, to the advertisement, and I press Alt F4. And here we see the screen. Let's change the screens. For that, let's change the screen's positions. For that, I right click to the display and select display settings. Okay, here what I see is that first we have to fix the size of this screen number 1. To do so, let's click Advanced Display Settings. Here we select the proper resolution, that is 1280 per 1024. Press Apply, and then let's press Keep Changes. Alright, so the second screen is the second and the first screen is the first. So let's see which screen is which. We can do it by pressing Identify. Okay, here the second display is number 2 and the first display is number 1. So let's rearrange it. Okay, so that order makes more sense. Apply. Okay, let's go back. And the next thing that we need to do is select the first display and press the check mark here. Make this my main display. Press Apply, and here you see that if we close this window, you see that all the icons disappeared. They actually moved to the first screen. Here you see it. So the important step is to connect the kiosk to the internet. This is the standard Windows 10. So what you actually need to do is you basically plug in the Ethernet cable, and the connection icon will lead on and you will have the internet, or you can insert the wireless adapter and configure it the standard way, and you will have the internet to be able to configure the kiosk software after that. Okay, the next step will be to check if all the ports were installed correctly. For that, I right-click to my PC, Properties, Device Manager, and I check the ports. If you see here that, for example, you have two ports that has a name COM1, or you see less ports that is actually available in the system, you have to troubleshoot it. For example, if you see two ports that has the similar name COM1, delete those ports and press here to rediscover it, so the system to assign them the different port names. Okay, after you have checked it up, the next step will be to configure the software. I run the kiosk using the desktop shortcut, and on this screen, as before, I press to the red button, I enter the default 10 zeros code, and here the first step will be to check that the hardware is working properly. For that, I select Hardware, Printer, Test. I see the printer have printed well the test receipt, so the printer is working fine. Next, let's check if the validator is working properly. For that, select Hardware, Cache. And here, before pressing Test, make sure that the cassette is properly inserted. Here, I didn't have cassette inserted, so I put it back. Okay, the cassette is in. And press Test. If you see disabled, that means that the validator didn't work. Why it doesn't work can be by different reasons. Can be, the most common is that the port that is assigned to the validator is incorrect and you have to assign the other port. The other reason can be that these settings is not correct. So here we have two options that can help us to configure the validator. The option Auto Config takes the port that is being assigned and try all different settings for that port to see if the validator will work with different settings. And the option Auto Search. The option Auto Search retries all different COM ports that is available in the system and then retries all different settings for those ports. So let's press Auto Search and see if the system will find the validator. Okay, here I press yes. So now you see that the COM port that was assigned is changed, and let's test it. Let's test if the validator works. I press Test. I hear the validator to cycle. Here I have $10. I insert $10. It accepts it and says $10 was inserted. I press Return to get my money back. Okay. Here you besides using Auto Search and Auto Config, you can actually try configuring it manually. For example, if you want to switch it to COM port 2, you do that and you press Save here. So here we have our validator on COM port 1, so I put it back, I save it. So the hardware works, so the next step will be to configure the kiosk credentials. For that I press Settings, Network. Here you will have to enter 3 credentials: kiosk ID, kiosk login, and the kiosk password. You can enter it using the keyboard that you have connected to the computer, or you can use the virtual keyboard. After you enter the kiosk credentials, press Save, then go Main, and press Restart Application. The application restarts, and sometimes it can connect right away, and sometimes it takes time. So first thing that you will see is the service unavailable. If you see the service unavailable, just enter to the administration panel again and go Update and press Start Updating. Stay on that screen until the update finishes. Then go again to Main Menu, Restart Application, and most probably it will work right away. All depend on how fast the kiosk have connected to the internet. For the next step, let's configure the advertisement that goes on the second screen. For that, let's go to this PC, local disk C, kiosk, add player, and we run the application addplayer.exe. As I run the application, I can see that it appears on the second screen right away. But it may not be the case in some situations. So to configure the second screen application, you will need to go to the tray menu, and here you can find the icon for the second screen application. You make right click on it, and here you can select the displays or select the advertisement file. Whatever is missing, you select it here, and it will apply the changes right away. So since the advertisement is already there, we don't have to do anything else additionally. So now let's restart the machine and see how it boots. It is still loading. Okay, here we have the advertisement on the second screen and the software already completely loaded. In this case, I didn't configure any terminal IDs, so that's why we see that screen. That will be it. Thank you for watching.